Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. It is Friday. Happy Friday. I hope you're all having a very good week and you're going to have a cracking start to the weekend. Lots to talk about today. Yesterday was pretty dramatic, wasn't it? I was missing it all because I was not sitting on the golf course. I was walking around the golf course enjoying the sunshine as social media went into a bit of a meltdown over Declan Rice, over Caicedo, over Havertz. Just a lovely, calm start to the transfer window, as always, when it comes to Arsenal and the world of social media. So we'll talk about that. We'll go over all those things. We'll have a look at what Martin Odegaard's had to say while he's been on international duty. Arsenal have announced some players have left the club now at the end of their contracts. We'll talk about that. Of course, have some questions from you at the end as well. So lots to pack into today's video. Thank you very much for getting involved as always. Let's start with Declan Rice then, shall we? Big news yesterday that final first bid had gone in. It was immediately rejected out of hand by West Ham. Bid was believed to be around £80 million plus add-ons, which could have taken it to about 90 million. Certainly from West Ham's point of view, or the word coming from West Ham's side of it was that those add-ons weren't what they deemed realistic. I think it was like Arsenal winning the Premier League, Arsenal winning the Champions League, and they weren't happy with it, so they rejected it. And now we wait to see what Arsenal do. They will certainly go in with another bid. That will happen pretty soon, and it remains to be seen whether that is more in keeping with what West Ham want. It's generated a lot of debate from fans, from media as well. I always find it weird that Arsenal seem to be the club that everyone talks about in terms of bids. And I don't know if it's just because I'm more obviously connected with Arsenal that we notice it more because it's about the club that we're all sort of a part of. But I always find it weird how there seems to be a lot of criticism for Arsenal transfer bids that you don't really see other clubs get. Now, yeah, look, it obviously it wasn't enough. West Ham can ask for what they want, but they did just offer £90 million for a player, albeit with some add-ons. It's not a tiny little bid by any means. I think the frustrating thing, and certainly Arsenal fans are frustrated, and I can understand that. Even I was pretty surprised at it, I have to admit, is that there's been talks going on with West Ham over this deal for a fair while. Arsenal knew really what West Ham want. So I thought, certainly, when they went in with that first bid, it was going to be very, very close to what they thought West Ham wanted. Obviously, it wasn't, and that was a bit of a surprise to me, I have to admit, and I can understand why people are a bit frustrated about that. It's like, why'd you go in with a lowball offer if you know it's going to be rejected? But then I can also see, on the other hand, when you're going into a big negotiation over a massive business deal, you don't go and show your hand straight away and offer every single bit of money you've got. You want to try and get the best possible price. So I can kind of see it that way as well. But obviously, this is transfers, this is football fans, it's highly emotive, and people get themselves very, very wound up about these sort of things. So I can understand the level of frustration. But look, Arsenal will bid again. Obviously, it emerged yesterday that Manchester City now seems to be preparing a bid. Now, I don't know about that, but it's been very good, strong, massive reporters. David Ornstein, Jacob Steinberg, who's very in with West Ham. They were all reporting that Manchester City now are in the running and preparing their own offer for Declan Rice. Now, that does throw a bit of a spanner in the works, obviously, because if you're going up against Manchester City in a transfer battle, there tends to only be one winner with that because of the money that they've got on offer. The positive that Arsenal have is that Declan Rice is believed to want that move to Arsenal over anyone else. So that's a good position for Arsenal to be in, a strong position for Arsenal to be in. And you just want them to get this deal over the line now. This second bid needs to be definitely a lot closer to exactly what West Ham want. You don't want to annoy them too much because that's never going to work out very well. We saw Arsenal with their move for Luis Suarez, for example, all those years ago, annoyed the hell out of Liverpool, and any remote chance there was of getting a deal done for Luis Suarez went out the window when they went in with that £40 million and a pound bid. And we don't want a similar situation like that. So hopefully that this can be resolved and Arsenal move quickly and don't let this drag on, because you want to get this deal over the line very, very, very quickly, especially if Manchester City are indeed hovering. Moises Caicedo, that was another one that sort of was doing the rounds yesterday. Chelsea appeared to be leading the race. That's what a lot of reports are saying. Some reports even saying that Chelsea have won the race and that Caicedo has chosen to go with them. Now, I understand that is not true, and he hasn't made a decision over his future. that's not to say that Chelsea might not be leading the race for him. I think, the money that are on offer, it always looked difficult for Arsenal to sign both players because of the money. I've said it loads of times. You're talking £200 million plus for two players there. It always looks very, very difficult that Arsenal could do both of those in the same summer. So, you've got to probably focus on one, and Arsenal are very much focusing on Declan Rice now. We know that. So other clubs could be moving into pole position for Caicedo. But as far as I'm aware, nothing has yet been decided in terms of his next club. And I'm told 100% that it's not true that he has chosen his next club yet. So we'll wait and see. Do I think it will be Arsenal at the moment? No. Just because the focus is clearly on Rice and the other clubs are pushing for Caicedo. So it might well be that he goes somewhere else, but I don't think it's absolutely set in stone yet. So, we'll see on that. And then Kai Havertz, that one appears to be moving a little bit closer. Chelsea willing to negotiate a potential price that might be more fitting to what Arsenal want to pay for Kai Havertz. We know that he is very much of interest to Arsenal. Chelsea are wanting about £75 million for Kai Havertz. That's a price that Arsenal are not going to pay. And so it's about trying to get a deal done at a respectable price. What that price is, I don't know. I've seen some people saying, 30 million max. I mean, it's not going to be that. It's going to be more than that. They're not going to pay 30 million for Kai Havertz. It's going to have to be more than that. But it's certainly not going to be 75 million. So, meet in the middle, I don't know, 45, 50. That's just me guessing and pulling a figure out of the air. But it seems like that one is potentially moving in the right direction. A lot of work still to do when it comes to Declan Rice. Caicedo is clearly looking more and more like, if he does move from Brighton this summer, then it probably is going to be to a club that isn't Arsenal. But we shall wait and see. Martin Odegaard has been talking about his future. He's obviously on international duty. He's played Scotland, I think, Norway. He's on international duty at the moment. He's been talking to the media over there about a few things about Arsenal's season. He talked about how disappointed he still was at how the season ended. He was talking about his future as well, and he was asked about all the stories about him potentially getting a new contract and talks about to start with that. And he says, I have a few years left on the contract. I'm fine, and I hope to be at the club for a long time now. I have not spoken to them. That is not my task. To be honest, I don't know how that situation is right now. It's not me who controls it. I'm focusing on the national team, so I may take it after the summer if they want to do something. Martin Odegaard's been an absolute sensation at Arsenal. Player of the season last season, deservedly so. Brilliant captain, brilliant player. So good on and off the pitch. 100% needs to get a new contract at some point pretty quickly. And I'm sure that will happen. I don't know when it will happen, but I'd be very, very surprised if he is not like the person that they are now focusing on. Him and Ben White, you would look at as the two people who they're now focusing on. Have got the young guys done, Ramsdale's done, Gabriel's done. It'll be Odegaard and Ben White next, and they both deserve new deals and will get new deals, I'm convinced. And I can't see any reason why they will make it difficult and end up wanting to drag it out. So fingers crossed that can be done. And I mean, you cannot look at what Odegaard has done since he's moved from Madrid and say he doesn't warrant a new deal. He absolutely does, and can't wait to see him playing in the Champions League next season. A couple of call-ups for the Euros. The Euro Under-21 Championships coming up. We know Emil Smith-Rowe is playing for England at that tournament, and there's a bit of Arsenal interest in the Portuguese team. Both Nuno Tavares and Fabio Vieira called up for that tournament, which is going to take place. Again, I look at that. I said it was Smith-Rowe. I think Smith-Rowe, it benefits him definitely because he hasn't been playing much, and it's going to be good to get him some real competitive games ahead of the start of the season. I think for Fabio Vieira, I was looking at this pre-season for Arsenal, going to be really, really important for Fabio Vieira. He didn't really play too much of a part. He didn't play any part in the summer tour last year to America because he was injured when he signed, and I think he missed out a lot on that because of just missing that pre-season. I think it was really important for him. So I was looking at this pre-season thinking it was going to be a really important period for him, one that could be really beneficial to him ahead of the new season. Now, I presume, I haven't actually looked at the dates, but I presume he's going to miss a chunk of pre-season now because he's going to be playing for Portugal at this tournament. Hopefully he gets back in time for the US tour and he can go over there. Because I want to see him have a good summer this season with Arsenal and really get ready for the new season because he's going to be really important. He's had a brilliant record at under 21s level. I didn't realise he won player of the tournament at this tournament 2 years ago for Portugal when they got to the final and lost in the final. He's got 25 caps at under 21s level for Portugal. He scored 14 goals. Really impressive scoring record for Fabio Vieira. He certainly knows how to get in good positions in the final third. It's just about taking advantage of that more, and that's what he needs to work on. It that end product for Arsenal needs to be a little bit better, and he needs to be more of an impact on games, not just drifting on the sort of edges of a game. He needs to really start to take centre stage a little bit, and that's what we want to see from him this season, because his talent is there. There's no doubt the talent is there. He just needs to become more of an influence on game physically and just when he's on the ball as well. Okay, and before I get to your questions, if you haven't seen it now, Arsenal have announced the players who are leaving the headline one. Obviously, Ainsley, Maitland-Niles, that has now been confirmed, but there are some other sort of from the under-18s, under-21s and first team who are going. That's Zach Orr, Joel Idaho, George Lewis, of course, the Norwegian winger. He came in a couple of years back. Ainsley, Maitland-Niles, Matt Smith, FA Cup winner Matt Smith, leaves with an FA Cup winning medal, and Tom Smith. And then Arsenal do note in the statement they put out today on the website, it says, in addition, please note that Reiss Nelson's contract also ends on June the 30th, 2023, and negotiations are ongoing. Now, we're expecting Reiss Nelson to sign that contract. It has been agreed in principle, but, until it's signed, you never know. But that is the direction that we believe it is heading, that he will sign that new deal, but got to be done before anything can be announced, obviously. Okay, let's quickly go on to some of your questions, shall we? Thank you very much for these. As always, Corey, first up, says, hi Charles, are there any academy graduates or loanees you think will be included in pre-season trips to Germany and USA? Interesting one. Like last summer, he didn't take anyone, basically. He took Raul Walters, I think, to America. A few of them went to the Germany game, because some of the first team players hadn't come back yet and were a bit behind. So Patino went. I remember he played over in Germany, played pretty well, and a couple of the other youngsters went. But when it came to the main tour, I think only Raul Walters went. It was really surprising. He took players who clearly had no future at Arsenal, like Maitland-Niles, like Torreira, and players like that. He took on the tour rather than players like Patino, which was a really odd decision at the time. I didn't understand it then. I still don't understand it now. So I'd love to see more of the youngsters go over to America this time. But you just never know with Mikel and how he works it. He tends to just get his strongest squad together. Even in cup competitions, you would think, a load of youngsters are going to play, and then they don't. So I hope to see. I think they definitely will, maybe for Germany, because some of the international lads will get an extra bit of time off who are playing at the moment. So maybe you'll see Brooke Norton-Cuffy if he hasn't gone out on loan by that point, but he will go out on loan, I'm sure of it, this summer. I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't. Like you said, Cozy Dubry, who Mikel Arteta really, really likes, Miles Lewis-Skelly, who he likes as well. Those sort of players could get a bit of a run out. Ethan Nwaneri, if he's still at the club and he hasn't gone to Man City or Chelsea by that point, which hopefully wasn't. Patino, I doubt it, just because of what's going on with his future at the moment and the club trying to sort out a move for him. I'd be very surprised if he went. Lino Sousa, he could go. He's a left back that Arsenal rate highly, and Mikel Arteta uses a lot in training, so he's another player who could potentially go. So there are players, and I think certainly we'll see some of them in Germany. Whether they make the main tour to America, we'll have to wait and see. Last year they didn't, and that was a real surprise. I think it was a mistake, to be honest, by Arteta, and I hope that he changes his sort of thinking this time and gives a few of them a little bit of run out on that tour. Okay, so Networth Media says, hello Charles, regarding the fixtures, I'm particularly drawn to our final 10 games. They have proved in the past 3 seasons to determine how we finish. I am concerned we are playing Chelsea, City, United, Brighton, Tottenham, Villa. This is going to be tough. What do you think? I mean, it is going to be tough, no doubt about it, but it's the Premier League. It's such a tough league now that whenever you look at fixture lists, you can't have an easy run. Certainly not over 10 games. You're always going to have really difficult games in there. So it is difficult, but it's just what you got to do. And yes, the last couple of years, the end to the season have been poor. It's something that Arsenal have to improve on next season. They have to stay the course and manage those final 6 games a lot better than they have done the last couple of years. And I hope they will. Having a stronger squad will certainly help with that. So yes, it's tough, but you look at all the other teams. I mean, look at Tottenham's. I looked at Tottenham's yesterday. It's really, really difficult. I think 3 of the last 4 games against City, Liverpool, or City, Arsenal, Chelsea, or City, Arsenal, Liverpool. Everyone's got tough fixtures. They either start difficult or they end difficult. So it is what it is with a fixture list. It's just, you just got to play everyone twice. That's it at the end of the day. And sometimes when you look at fixtures that are really difficult at the end of the season, the relegation teams are just as difficult. Look at what happened with Arsenal at Forest at the end of last season. They went to Forest, and Forest was so up for it because it meant they knew a win would keep them up. And they overpowered Arsenal on that day, and the noise in that stadium, the atmosphere, it was such a difficult fixture. And on paper, when the fixtures come out, you look at that and think, 3 points, easy, away at Nottingham Forest. It was absolutely not the case because of the way things have gone that season. So yeah, it is what it is. But thank you very much for your question, Net Worth Media. Mohammed now. So I really hope Arsenal don't mess around and just pay the asking price for Rice. We lost out on Mudryk, but that was less of a blow since we had Martinelli. But with Xhaka leaving, we need to get Rice. I'm with you, Mohammed. I've said it before in this video. I think when he's your absolute number one priority, when you've put a lot of work into it, you just don't mess around over a few £1 million, even £10 million. They've got the money. Arsenal have got the money. They've got Champions League football next season. Stan Kroenke's worth a fortune. Just pay the money, get him in now, in time for pre-season, and move on and start doing what else you need to do with the rest of the squad. I get it it's a negotiation, I get it's a business deal, but sometimes you just don't want to drag something on, and this is one deal you don't want to let drag on. You want to get it done and get it done quickly. So I'm with you. I really hope it doesn't end up being sort of turned into a bit of a Mudryk saga. I think sometimes you have to be ruthless in the transfer market. You just have to pay the money that the club want. This is West Ham's captain that we're talking about. This isn't someone they just want to give away and they're going to be willing to give away for any old price. Yes, they're happy to let him move this summer, but a club has to pay what they want for him. And so yeah, I fully agree. I think this is one case certainly where you just pay the money, get it done, move on, and focus on what else you got to do throughout the summer. Final one here from David. Thank you very much for your question. David said, "Hi Charles, do you think that because we are in the market for a right back, that Mikel deems Tomiyasu surplus to requirements? I personally think Ben White and him is strong enough, and we should spend our money on other areas of the squad." I 100% do not think he thinks he's surplus to requirements at all. I've said it on previous video actually that I think even if Arsenal sign a right back this summer, which they're looking to do, that doesn't mean the end of Tomiyasu, because I think also Mikel's looking at Tomiyasu as a potential left backup. See if Tierney goes, Tomiyasu, I think we've seen him play there before. We saw him play ahead of Tierney at left back in the Liverpool game because he wanted a right-sided player to play in that role to mark Salah out the game, which he did brilliantly. Tomiyasu can also play almost the inverted role a little bit better than Tierney because he wants to come inside on his right foot. So no, even if a right back comes in, I 100% don't think that's the end for Tomiyasu at Arsenal by any means. I think that it's just that he can still play there, he can play centre back, but more importantly, he's very, very good at left back as well, and he will provide cover for Zinchenko if Tierney goes. Thank you very much. Appreciate your questions. As always, thank you very much for watching today. Have a very good day. If you, like me, are now going to turn on your TV and sit down and watch the Ashes all day, enjoy it. Hopefully England can give us something to smile about. And if not, then well done the Aussies. But fantastic day of sport ahead. Have a great day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.